Welcome to the #1 spot health and wellness practitioners go to double their current income and turn their 10-hour work day into a 10-hour work week. Join us as we dive into the tips, tools, and tech you need to create a life and practice on your own terms. More freedom, flexibility, fulfillment, and of course, funds. It's time to build your online practice. And I'm your host, Michelle Rogers, also known as the WELLthy Woman. Be sure to subscribe for your weekly dose of education, inspiration, and action. Let's get started. Hi, everybody. Once a month, as you may or may not know, if you're new to the group, welcome. I am Michelle. And once a month, first Monday of the month, we do a practitioner spotlight. And so this month, I have brought Kristi Tompkins, Dr. Kristi Tompkins on here. I am so excited. She's an alumni of the Wealth Mentorship. And she's honestly like one of the few people that I have worked directly with that has this deep dedication to personal development. Like you just have this steadfastness that is so admirable, Kristi. So I love you for that. And I've just loved like watching your journey and just seeing you just like dive deeper and just face things with so much courage and just like so much, I don't know the word that I'm wanting to use, but there's just courage really, really embodies that. It's like you just go in and you're just like, boom, like, let's like do this. Like, tell me anything, be straight, be direct. Like you just have this really cool energy about you. So I appreciate that about you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's been an interest of mine probably, for decades. So I became a naturopathic doctor, which, as you are too. So you're treating the physical, but yeah, you also have to treat the emotional and the psychological and all the layers that people have as deep as they're willing to go. And just through my own personal journey and professional journey, I kind of dove a little deeper into my own life and my own, my personal life, my business. And, but yeah, it is definitely a passion of mine. And it's, for me, it's essential. And I love covering as much as I can or diving as deep as I can with people because it's important because it helps me understand them so much better and it helps me help them, on a deeper level.
Totally. It's essential for the healing path. And we'll dive deeper into like what you're doing now and what you're creating and all of that good stuff in a bit. But I love that you're like intertwining this into your program and like you're working more into the integration of this because I do think it's so essential to the healing process, especially the sustainable healing process.
Yeah. I learned a lot from you with regard to, just shifting and reframing and changing how you believe and how you view your life, your practice, your business, your income. And it takes a bit of practice, like anything, right? Like exercise, like working a muscle, building a practice, building a business, but changing how you perceive things. It makes a world of difference for sure. And it has
literally a world of difference, like complete, like perspective shift.
And sometimes it's instant, sometimes it takes a little bit of time.
Of course, as with anything new, right? It's kind of like anything that is outside of our comfort zone. It like takes this like recalibration of like, oh yeah. It's like meditation, right? When you're like sitting in meditation, it's like, come back to the breath, and like shifting a perspective or rewiring those old habits or patterns or, circle thoughts that we have or those loops or those negative spirals or all of those things. It's like coming back like, oh yeah. Like, and then finally it like becomes like second nature, but it takes effort. It does repetition.
Especially when we have those triggers, right? Those stressors that get us like every time. And it's being able to kind of stop it in the moment, or at least be aware of what's happening in the moment to kind of see if you can change it faster. Rather than have it spiral out of control.
Yes. That is the key. I feel like the awareness piece, like that's like the golden ticket. Like once you have the awareness, that's when you get to work with it. And that's when like the fun begins. But it's so hard when you don't have the awareness because then you're like, why am I falling into these same patterns again and again and again.
Totally. Why does this keep happening to me? Right. How many
Yes,
times
right.
we ask that question of ourselves? Yeah.
Yes,
So,
yes. It's that transition from victim mindset into that like higher self, like that growth mindset. But
mhm.
anywho, little nerd out on like the woo pieces that are so essential to your practice. I will say business energetics are huge. But Kristi, do you want to give people kind of like a little background of you, like who you are and like where you've been and like everything that has happened up until kind of this point or until the mentorship? Like what was life like before the mentorship?
Okay, so we'll start there. So I've been in practice for about 14, 15 years. Life before the mentorship. So this was the beginning of 2021. So we had just finished 2020. In 2020, of course, it was a very unusual, fear-based year for a lot of people, a lot of changes, good and bad. And for me, I knew I needed to change the structure of my business because I was still doing fee for service. Which wasn't working for me. And I was frustrated. I was actually wanting to close my practice and get into something completely different. I looked into real estate at that time. But I was so burnt out and I was so not upset, but I was just I felt defeated that I wasn't further along. And I just wanted something different. So I started making some changes to my business. I started changing the structure of it instead of doing one-on-one or fee for service, rather. I started kind of developing a package of a series of visits that somebody would come see me. And I started to get that going, but I found that I was needing more guidance. I was needing more structure. And really, I was missing out on a lot of community. I mean, especially 2020, but really 2020 kind of just isolated a lot of people. And it really I felt like I needed more of a community, more of a tribe, more of a connection support with other colleagues. And I knew that I wasn't going to get that obviously in person. It was still the pandemic. And so I had found out about you and I kind of kept reaching out and reaching out. And I was still I'm one of those people that it takes me a little bit of time to make a decision. So I kept asking questions and I was very curious and I knew that what you had to offer was what I wanted, and kind of going back to the mindset piece and the that perception is that, oh, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I can't be spending that much money when I don't even know what I'm doing with my business. And
You don't even know if you want to keep doing what you're doing.
exactly. But then again, I was like, well, what else am I going to do? I love this. I feel like I love what I do. I love helping people. I feel like I just need to shift how I run this business and this practice and how I charge and how I package things together. So finally, I finally made the decision to join your mentorship, beginning of 2021. And it has been one of the best decisions I've made. And what helped is, of course, looking at the testimonials, talking to a few people, talking with you several times, and it felt like family. So as soon as I joined, it felt like a smaller family connection and just very supportive. It didn't feel like one coach with a ton of people. It felt very close and encouraging and very educational too. I mean, the learning modules that you have set up for the practitioners or doctors to go through each week or every other week, the office hours, all of that, and of course the communication through Slack. It was just very, very well integrated and very well organized, and I never felt like this small fish in a big ocean. I felt like I was part of this unit, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted mentorship, I wanted guidance, but I also wanted to feel like I belonged or I was part of a connection to something bigger. So, yeah, I mean, it was definitely a lot of growth and a lot of learning and a lot of integrating and completely changing the way I run my business, the way I charge, the way I value my own personal worth, my own business professional worth. It really changed a lot. I mean, a lot shifted in that time. And it was only 6 months, but I still continued on with learning a lot of the things that you have suggested and recommended. And it's been life changing at how, yeah, like how, where I want to be in the world. So not just about business and my practice and what I specialize in and what kind of lab tests I'm going to offer in my program, but just it's so much bigger than that. It's almost like the possibilities for what I want or are unlimited and endless. And it was just kind of like hearing, and it's like you know that, or you've heard it, but when you hear it from somebody else and you keep hearing it and you keep hearing it and you hear other people in the group say the same thing, it really does expand your awareness to you can do anything you want. I mean, you really can. And it's just being aware of that unlimitedness.
Yes. I mean, that's such a great example of that perspective shift. Like even something like a little thing that you said, like it was just 6 months. It's like some people might have a different perspective. Like it's 6 months. Like, oh my God, that's so long, or that's such a long time, or I can't wait that long to make money, or I can't wait that long to have X success or whatever that is. But it's like, I don't know. I love that little like shift of like, it's just 6 months. Like imagine where you could be in 6 months, you know?
And I think for me, the appeal was that it was 6 months. It was like, it's only 6 months. I mean, 6 months goes by so quickly, even if it were 12 months. I mean, I almost wish yours had been 12 months. It was so enjoyable. It was just like, I always looked forward to the office hours. I always looked forward to either sharing my stories or asking questions or hearing from somebody else. And I know you have like the Monday mindset, but you have somebody different now. I always loved those with the person that we had at that time. And it just felt very, not just about the practical and the physical things that you need to do with your business, but also kind of the emotional, spiritual side of having a business. And when you're a business owner, entrepreneur, like everything is personal, everything is about you. And so you can't separate the two. You can't come and hang your hat up and say, okay, I'm going to binge out on Netflix for the next few hours. I mean, it really is a part of who you are. And so I loved that integration piece of the spirit and, but also just the practical side of what you need to do to get your business up to that level.
Yes. Thank you for sharing all of that. I love hearing all of those reflections. You know, it's just like, it's awesome. So how are things different now? Like, what is life like? I know you've made a huge move and like, there's been like some really big shifts that have happened. Do you want to share? Like, what's your practice look like? What does life look like? What are you excited about? What's coming up? And
yeah. So I was living in California at the time that I was in your mentorship. I'm from California. And kind of again, right around the time of the pandemic, I was feeling like I want to leave. I don't know where I want to go. I just know that my time is up. I just felt like I'm done here. And so I had looked at other places to live. And then in 2021 is when I decided, kind of serendipitously, but decided I would be moving to Colorado. In the spring of 2021. And then it just so happened right after that time. In fact, it was actually somebody in the mentorship we were on a coaching call or office hours, and it was somebody that mentioned she had gone to see Dr. Joe Dispenza in Florida and that he was going to be coming to Colorado in July. So at that time, I was like, oh my gosh, wow, I've been wanting to see him in person at one of his retreats. And that happened to be right around the time that I was contemplating moving here. And so when I heard about this event, I was like, okay, perfect. I will go to that event.
Excuse to go. Like,
yeah. But it ended up actually opening up a completely different world. I mean, speaking of personal development, I mean, I wanted to go there because I had heard so many good things about it. I wanted to get out of California. I was looking for a change. I was looking for a change in my life on so many levels. So I ended up actually registering on it, and I ended up going in the summer of last year, 2021, and it completely has changed my life. I avid or a regular practicer of meditation now, and the personal development, personal growth piece has just expanded even further. And so I went to a few more retreats, also in Colorado, actually. And then finally made the decision just this past spring in May of 2022 to move to Colorado and completely take my practice virtual. So to back up for just a moment, it was hybrid. It was partly in person in California, but it was probably 80% virtual, 20% in person. But honestly, going into my office in person, just didn't feel right anymore. It didn't feel like I didn't feel energized. I didn't feel excited other than, the in-person connection. You can't beat that in-person connection with another person, but it just felt like I don't really need this anymore. I mean, I have so many different ways to have a 100% virtual practice, through your help. And I was like, I don't really need this office anymore. And so that's when I decided to completely move it virtual. And I would say, like, most people are completely okay with that, especially at this stage of our world right now. And so I'm kind of outside the Denver, Boulder area, and I love it. I absolutely love it here. Yeah.
That is so awesome. You also had a noteworthy month recently, didn't you? A revenue month.
I did, actually, right around the month that I moved here. Yeah, I actually, it's funny because when you sell these programs, I believe in my program. I believe in the value and the worth, and I'm making changes to it and increasing the value of it. And every so often, every few months, it's like, okay, well, I really feel like this is worth so much more with my experience, with what I know, with what I have to bring to this particular person, or whoever I'm trying to promote this program for. And but sometimes you forget, like, how much money is coming in because you're so busy working in the business, working on the business, and you're so like go that you have to kind of stop and look at your bank account or talk to your accountant, and you're like, oh, I actually had a really good month recently. Totally. And I would have never expected that I would have this 2 years ago, 3 years ago. There's no way I would have ever expected to bring in whatever revenue per month at the stage where I was, just feeling, like I said, feeling completely defeated and like I wanted to give up, and this is not worth my time. But completely changing how I charge, how I also just kind of the person that I want to treat, right? The person I've become, but also the type of client that I want to treat. When we got into practice, it's like we just pretty much saw anybody and everybody, and whoever was willing to pay us whatever our hourly rate was at that time, because that's what we did. And it's like, you have a choice. You actually have a choice in who you want to work with.
Totally.
Yeah.
And multiple 5-figure months get to be the norm.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, some people make multiple 6 figures per month, but
Totally. Yeah. Again, that perspective shift and just being like, oh yeah, wow, okay. totally like a different way of doing things.
It's so interesting because now I can pay for things, or I can buy other coaching programs, or I can purchase things that are a much higher amount. And it's like, it doesn't feel like it's that big of a deal to me anymore. Whereas before, it's like, oh my God, there's no way I could spend that. But when you start investing, that's really what it comes down to, is investing in yourself. And you and I have both invested so much in our education and our development and coaching. And it's like, when you start doing that and you start realizing your own worth and your own value, then you're able to then pay other people to help you even more in your business or your personal life. And so
you can recognize that value in others. And it's really just like a flow of energy, right? When you think about money as energy, it's like a flow of energy and like an exchange of trust.
It is. That's exactly it. It's that beautiful exchange of energy of being able to pay somebody what they feel they're worth, and receiving that money back to you. And also, this is a really interesting point too, is that the people that, it's not within their budget, or maybe it's just not the right time, or they're not willing to see the value in paying you for the services if you don't bill insurance or whatever it happens to be. I'm so much better at letting that go. It's okay. It's okay if that person doesn't want to work with me ever, or even just right now. And it's very freeing. It's very liberating. And it's almost like I don't want that type of weird energy. I'd rather work with somebody that really is on board and they're 100% a yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of that, I mean, how have you noticed like client follow through or client compliance since moving to more of like a high ticket?
Oh, it's so much more compliant. They are, again, they're investing in their health the same way maybe they would invest in a bigger purchase, maybe, I mean, like a home or a car or something that they are
Mm-hmm.
paying for, a Peloton bike, when they're investing in their health and they're willing to pay whatever amount of money, they are so much more committed and easier to work with. And
Mm-hmm.
it just, again, that flow of energy, that exchange of giving and receiving, yeah, it just seems to be more harmonious for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And also like the quality, like you mentioned when we graduated, it's kind of like a first come, first serve, whoever comes through my door. And
Yeah.
now it's like it's completely different. Like how has it changed or how have things shifted for you in actually working with people who feel more energetically aligned? And what does that mean to you? Like I can say like, oh yeah, this person's energetically aligned, but like how does that feel for you in your body or like in interaction or whatever?
It feels good in my heart. There's a sense of peace. There's a sense of relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
That and what's the other word? I guess I don't feel as, I don't want to use the word resentful, but I don't feel like I'm overdoing way too much and I'm only getting paid this much, because I think that that's exactly what I was feeling for so many years, is charging fee for service and not billing insurance and feeling like I was going above and beyond, but going above and beyond and not filling my own cup. Like
Mm-hmm.
what's the saying that you have mentioned, if you
Giving
give
from
from
overflow instead of
overflow,
from, yeah.
sustenance. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
felt like I was doing so much more in between appointments. So now being able to work with somebody who is paying for a 6 month package. And if when they do reach out and ask questions or when they do need something, it's like, I love helping them now. It's giving from a place of, like you said, overflow, and giving it, that service providing feels so much more,
Mhm.
it just feels more resonating for me.
Yeah, I have like full body chills because I feel like it's such a good like the high ticket high quality program model. I feel like it's such a good match for art centered practitioners, like those people who are really like they want to care. We're caregivers. Like we that fill like that in a sense fills us up. But like you said, if we're not being compensated, if that energetic exchange is not happening, that's when we end up depleted, exhausted, questioning whether or not we should actually be doing what we're doing, like you were, right? But it's
Yeah.
like when the energetic compensation happens and that feels like a really good exchange, it's like, oh my gosh, I actually get to step into this place of service that feels really good on like all levels. It feels good for you, it feels good for them. Like it's just like this really, I don't know, it just feels very full and like good.
Compatible. And it also feels
Yeah.
compatible. We think about compatibility with like intimate partners or maybe friendships, but when you have that compatible, I guess, client practitioner relationship, it's easier. It feels
Yes.
better. Not to say that there's not going to be little bumps along the road, but it just feels more aligned, like you said, aligned,
Yes.
compatible.
I
Yeah.
love I love that you use that word because that is another that I feel like that's a word maybe that's more tangible for people is compatibility, because you're right. It's like you have certain friends maybe that are more compatible than others, or certain partnerships or romantic partnerships or relationships that are more compatible than others. And you're right, there are opportunities within those compatible relationships to step into growth and difficult conversations and like, getting to practice boundary setting and all of these things, right?
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
interesting. I like
think
that.
about like the partnerships you've had in the past that were like, it was so much work and there was tension and it just didn't feel good. And I think we've all had, and that's in any type of business relationship. You have people that you work with where it just feels like it's almost like nails down a chalkboard. It just feels like it's not flowing, it's not harmonious and compatible. And those that you have in your business, yeah, it feels, it's like you want to help somebody. You want to
Yeah.
help. It's yeah, it's giving from that place of, I want to be of service and I want to help you. It's helping
Yeah.
you, it's helping me, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
not only between the two people, but it's also kind of like a domino effect across the world, like a spiral effect.
A ripple effect.
A ripple effect, not spiral,
100%. No, totally. We can say like upward spiral or like outward spiral.
One of those. I was thinking like the rock across the lake. Yeah, it's just continuing on, right? Because that person's not gonna feel better and they're gonna pay somebody else. And yeah, it
my gosh, totally, right? And like they're getting filled up, they get to like overflow like service to someone else, maybe it's their friend, family, partner, whatever, like their job. Like it is that beautiful ripple effect. And that's the part that I love, and that's the part that a lot of people don't realize the impact that we can have. Like, how can you have a big impact if you only have a handful of your own one-on-one clients? And it's like, no. Have you heard this thing called the ripple effect? Because it is like for real,
And when that person is healthier, their relationships with their partner, their kids, their friends, their job, everything is better when that one person is helped through their health on so many levels. And I love that piece of it. And it's cool because you've probably heard this too, like when you help, let's say you help a female and she's eating better and she's exercising, losing weight, and the husband all of a sudden is like, oh God, you look great. And they're now eating better and they're taking supplements.
And they're having sex like for the first time in however long or whatever,
Physical intimacy is better. Yeah, it's definitely, it helps everyone.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Do you want to is there anything else you want to add before you kind of share where people can find you and tune in to all your cool videos that you're doing? I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I just want to reemphasize the mentorship has been so helpful, and it has been life-changing. It really has, in a way that has completely changed my love for helping people, and but also helping myself. I mean, helping other people, but just again restructuring everything so it's helping myself, helping other people. And it really has, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's made me feel like my possibilities are endless at what I could do, and whether I choose to stay in this type of business forever, or I decide to expand it even and do even more projects or more programs, I have that awareness now to see the unlimited growth for myself and my business. So Instagram, I just changed my name. It was Dr. Kristi, but now it's Dr. Kristi Tompkins is my Instagram.
I'll pop it in the comments below the video.
And so and then I have a new logo coming out. I have a new brand. I have a new website coming out, completely a little bit more on not just the physical side of healing, but a little bit more on the spiritual kind of emotional aspect, involving that in my practice and my business. And I'm excited at what's to come for my business. I love my new logo. I haven't really started advertising it yet, and the website isn't quite finished yet.
Can't wait to see it.
Yes, I love it. It's I don't know. I mean, this is kind of
that's
my brand designer. Yeah, I'll be putting this on Instagram. I put it on Facebook, but it's
beautiful.
Beautiful to represent like your true north, and like the compass, and like a moon, and like kind of finding yourself or recreating yourself. And it's got a little bit of kind of a universal spiritual look to it. And I love the red and the black and the gold, and
it's gorgeous. It's awesome. Good job. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for hanging out and chatting and sharing, and I love hanging out with you. I feel like we've had past lives together. Kristi joined us at the Wealth retreat, the Wealth Embodiment retreat too.
Oh my God. I loved it.
I got to squeeze her in person.
Oh my God. It was so much fun. It was my first time in Tulum. No, I loved it. I loved every piece of it. In fact, I was just thinking about it recently. The sound healing ceremony, the cacao ceremony, the everything about it, just like the little exercises that you had. set up for the few days that we're there. The beauty of Mexico, the ocean, the food, the personal chef come feed us. It was amazing. It was
so much fun.
Yeah.
All right. I love you so much. Thank you so much for your time. And I know I'll be chatting with you soon.
Yes, for sure. Thanks, Michelle. Bye.
All right, that's a wrap for today. If you want the exact breakdown of how I help practitioners go from their first 5K to consistent 50K months with just 2 offers, 10 hours per week, and an audience of less than 500 people, be sure to click the link in the podcast description or head to wealthywoman.co/breakdown. To make sure you don't miss an episode, be sure to subscribe. And for daily online practice insights, follow me on Instagram at wealthywoman.co. Let's create your life of wealth, full of abundance, purpose, health, wealth, and joy.